Now, we will study the quadratic element in one dimensional finite element analysis. Here, in each element we have 3 nodes. For element E, suppose node 1, node 2 and node 3 has coordinate x e 1, x e 2 and x e 3. In master domain, the same node has coordinate -1, 0 and 1, that is in psi, and this is our physical domain. So, this mapping is involved in quadratic element. Let us first understand the corresponding shape functions. This is continuous function, quadratic function. It is such that in master domain, n1 is 1 at xi equal to -1 and it is 0 at 2 other points xi equal to 0 and xi equal to 1. If we write this quadratic expression, then you can see for xi equal to -1, n1 is 1 and it is 0 for xi equal to 0 and xi equal to 1. If you plot this, this will be this continuous function. Now, the second shape function is such that it is 1 at xi equal to 0 and it is 0 at other 2 nodes, that is xi equal to -1 and 1. So, we can write this now. The third shape function, it is we can express in this expression, and it is such that if you put xi equal to 0 and xi equal to -1, it is 0 and it is 1 at xi equal to 1. If you draw this or if you plot this function with xi, this is the function. Now, in this element we can write the physical coordinate x as n1 x e1 n2 Xc2, N3, Xc3. If you put xi equal to -1 in this expression, then Xc is nothing but x coordinate of the left node, that is at xi equal to -1 node. Similarly, we will get the x coordinate of second node and third node by putting xi equal to 0 and 1 in this expression. So, this is the variation of x along xi. This is the quadratic variation for quadratic element. Now, the dependent variable UE can also be expressed in terms of the nodal values of dependent variable. Now, these nodal values are unknown. We will solve this using FEM. This can be written in matrix vector relation. So, 1 cross 3 and 3 cross 1, where x hat is the vector containing nodal coordinate. This UE also can be written as NUE hat. In the similar way, we can write variation V in the element as NVE hat. Here UE hat is the vector containing the nodal values of the dependent variable. VE hat nodal values of variation. Now, this Xc is function of xi. So, we can write the derivative of Xc with respect to xi as dn1 d xi, dn2 d xi, dn3 d xi multiplied with Xc hat. If you take the derivative of this safe function, we can write dn1 d xi is xi minus half, dn2 d xi is minus 2 xi, and dn3 d xi is xi plus half Xe hat. This is equal to B Xc hat. So, this matrix we are using the notation B, and this quantity is the Jacobian as a function of xi. Now, unlike the linear element, here b is not constant. In linear it was minus half half, here it is function of xi. So, from here we can write dxe is j d xi. Now, we have ue which is function of xi as n ue hat. So, like xe, we can write due d xi. Now, n is only function of xi, we get the B matrix dn1 d xi, dn2 d xi and dn3 d xi ue hat. Now, due dxe can be written as due d xi by dxe d xi using chain rule. So, dxe d xi is the Jacobian and due d xi is b ue hat. So, due dxe is 1 by Jacobian B matrix and this ue vector, where it is 1 cross 3, 3 cross 1. If you expand this Jacobian, you will see this is nothing but xi minus half xe1 to xi xe2 xi plus half xe3. This should be minus. dve dxe can be written as in the similar way 1 by j b ve hat. Now, we will solve the same differential equation using quadratic element. The variational statement from this differential equation can be obtained, where again this term is coming because of Neumann boundary condition at x equal to L. We can write the variational statement in the element between xe1 and xe2, where we use ue, ve and xe, which are those variable in that element. Now, as for quadratic element, we have derived due dxe is 1 by Jacobian b ue hat and dve dxe as so we can write this quantity as VE transpose B transpose B UE hat by Jacobian square. We have used transpose in order to get a scalar quantity after this multiplication. If you see, this is the size of this individual entry, this V E hat is 1 cross 3. Because of this transpose, the size is 1 cross 3, it is 3 cross 1, it is 1 cross 3, this is 3 cross 1. So, after the multiplication it become 1 cross 1. So, we have used the transpose like linear element. Here this is divided by a scalar quantity j square. So, we can write this LHS as transpose B transpose B by j square UE hat, and dxc can be written as j d xi, and because of this mapping the integration limit in xi minus 1 to 1. So, we can take VE hat transpose outside the integration, because these are the nodal values, these are not function of xi. So, inside integration we have 1 by j B transpose B d xi, and again UE hat, the nodal values can be kept outside the integration. So, I will write the RHS here. So, VE can be written as transpose N transpose x is square by 4 j d xi due to coordinate transformation minus 1 to 1, and this one can be written as VE transpose N transpose at x equal to L. Again we can take VE hat transpose outside the integration. We can write this term as N transpose x is square by 4 j d xi plus N transpose x equal to L. Now, like linear element, we can use arbitrariness of VE transpose. So, in this way we have the equation as this B transpose is 3 cross 1, this is 1 cross 3, U E hat is 3 cross 1, N transpose is 3 cross 1, rest are scalar. So, finally, we have this K E U E hat. Now, this K E is 3 cross 3, U E hat is 3 cross 1 and our load vector, both the term are 3 cross 1. So, the other quantities are scalar. So, this is our elemental equation with quadratic element. For this problem, there are 3 quantity as a function of xi, j, b and n. Again x e, we know the expression as a function of xi, summation ni x e I equal to 1 to 3. So, if we see, this is our n, n1, n2, n3, these are the expression of n1, n2, n3. B is this matrix which are derivative of n with respect to xi. Jacobian J we have written in terms of the derivative and nodal x values which are known, and x is nothing but this expression x c. So, in our final elemental equation we require these quantities j, b, n and x c, which we have already derived. Now, we will see how to use MATLAB for this problem using quadratic element. If you see the element stiffness matrix, now we have the integrand which is function of xi. In linear element it was constant, but here it is function of xi. So, we have to use Gaussian quadrature to get the element stiffness matrix. First, I am explaining MATLAB function which calculate this element stiffness matrix. For element stiffness matrix, the input is the Gauss point where I am calculating the integrand. Another one input is x vec, which is nodal coordinate of 3 node. So, this B matrix, if you see, this is our B matrix, xi minus half minus 2 xi plus half. This is multiplied with that coordinate vector. So, this x vec is a column vector. So, we get the Jacobian. Now, this is the integrand of element stiffness matrix 1 by j B transpose B, which we calculate here. So, this function essentially evaluate the integrand of element stiffness matrix at a particular Gauss point. Now, in load vector we have two parts. One part is only at the boundary point x equal to L. This we will take care separately. The first part is again function of xi. Here n is function of xi, xe, that is again this summation ni xei function of xi, Jacobian is function of xi. So, this is our integrand of load vector. Now, I will show you the MATLAB function which calculate this part of load vector. Again, this function calculate, this function load vec calculate the integrand at a particular Gauss point xi. So, this is our n vector for quadratic element, this is the b vector, we get the Jacobian. Here x vec is column vector. Now, xe, that is value of x at that Gauss point. So, our n is this n1, n2, n3, the row vector, our x vec is the column vector, we get this xe. So, n transpose x square j by 4, this is the integrand, n transpose x square j by 4. So, this function evaluate that integrand at a particular Gauss point. Now, we solve the same problem for L equal to 4. We divide the entire domain in two quadratic element 0 to L by 2 and L by 2 to L. Each element has 3 node. So, total we have 5 node. So, for element 1 our xe hat vector, that is in our MATLAB code it is x vec, that is 0, 1, 2 because L is 4. Now, I am showing you the main MATLAB program. So, for element 1 this is our x vector. In MATLAB if we separate by semicolon, that means this is a column vector. Now, for this problem we have used 3-point Gaussian quadrature. If you see the table, then 3 Gauss points are this and these are corresponding weight. So, this stiff is calculating this integrand. Let me again just give a brief recall of Gaussian quadrature -1 to 1. We have to calculate the integrand at Gauss point, we have to multiply with corresponding weight and then we have to add. So, the calculation of the integrand at Gauss point, this is done by that stiff and load. Stiff is doing the calculation of integrand of element stiffness matrix and load is doing calculation of first part of load vector, the integrand calculation. So, if you see, I first calculate this at xi 1. So, this stiff function at a particular Gauss point. So, this is the integrand at xi 1 which is multiplied with w 1. Similarly, at xi 2 multiply with w 2, xi 3 multiplied with w 3 and we get the element stiffness matrix for element 1. Now, for element 2, the only thing which will change is the coordinate. For element 2, the coordinate is 2, 3, 4. These are the 3 coordinate 2, 3, 4. We use the same function, the similar way we get K2, which is element stiffness matrix at element 2. So, that is the usefulness of function. Only this coordinate vector is changing from element to element. You are using the same function for different Gauss point as well as for different element. So, similarly, you get this F1, that is this first part of the load vector. Now, the second part is calculated at x equal to L, which is not part of the first element. So, first element only consists of this first part. So, that is the F1. Now, let me run this program. If you see the command window, this K1 is the element stiffness matrix for first element. This I have written here, element stiffness matrix of first element, and this is the element load vector of the first element. Now, for second element we have this K2 and F2. For second element, this x equal to L will come in picture, because it is the third node of the second element. So, at x equal to L, N1 is 0, N2 is 0 and N3 is 1. So, this is the second part of the load vector, which only appear in the second element, because the boundary point is part of the second element. Now, if you see, so in the third entry we are adding 1 to take care of that second part of load vector. Here we get the first part of load vector after the integration through Gaussian quadrature, and then here we add 1 to the third entry to take care the second part of the load vector. So, finally, this is our element stiffness matrix K2 for second element, and this is for second element the element load vector. These are those element stiffness matrix and final element load vector after adding these two parts. Now, we have elemental equation for both the element. We have to do the assembly. So, these red numbers are the global degree of freedom. So, for first element it is 1, 2, 3, and the second element first node global degree of freedom is 3, second node global degree of freedom is 4, third node global degree of freedom is 5. So, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. These are the global degree of freedom number which will be required for assembly. The same exercise for load vector, elemental load vector. Now, as you know, in assembly the entry which have same global DOF index will get added. In this case, only this 3 comma 3 will be added. So, your final this 1.1667, if you add these two, the 3 comma 3 will be 2.3333. All other entry are appearing only once. If you see second row, third column, minus 1.33 minus 1.33, here second row, third column, minus 1.3333. Fourth row, third column, minus 1.3333, fourth row, third column, this. Fourth row, fourth column, 2.6667 is coming from fourth row, fourth column, 2.6667. Now, first row does not have any entry in fourth column for any element. So, we will put this 0. So, this is our global stiffness matrix. Now, for global load vector, again this 3 and 3, these two entry will be added, will be 0.6, remaining will be as it is, because they are appearing only once. So, this is that 0.6. So, this is our global equation. Now, the next step is to impose the boundary condition. So, the only essential boundary condition is u1 equal to 3, which is non-zero essential boundary condition. So, the first step is first row and first column we eliminate. We have the reduced stiffness matrix from 2 to 5, second row to fifth row and second column to fifth column, and our force vector, because it is non-zero essential boundary condition, force vector will be changed. So, F2 minus K21 into U1. So, K21, which row I am considering, the first index corresponding to that row, and the second index is which variable is prescribed, that is the first variable. So, if you see K21, that is minus 1.3333 and it is multiplied with 3. Similarly, for F3 it will be K31, that is 0.1667 multiplied with 3. For F4 and F5, that K41 is 0 and K51 is 0. So, it will not change F4 and F5. So, this is our changed load vector due to prescribed U1. So, we have reduced equation after imposing the boundary condition. If you solve this equation, you get U2 to U5. These are the nodal values of dependent variable U. So, the nodal displacement vector, the first one is prescribed and we get the remaining after solving this equation. Now, if you see the MATLAB program, so in this part we do the assembly. So, here first we initialize a 5 cross 5 0 matrix, that is the global matrix. Then for then in the first 3 row and first 3 column we equate K1. After that we add K2 in proper position of global stiffness matrix. K1 3 3 will be added to K2 1 1 in the 3 3 position of global stiffness matrix. To facilitate this adding, we have added K2 with the existing entries. It is now not 0 because 3 3 has one entry from K1. Similarly, we do the assembly of global load vector. Again here we have to do the adding, so that in the third row there is entry from F1 as well as from F2. After that, this imposition of boundary condition, that is from second row to fifth row, second column to fifth column, is done here. We will learn how to do this boundary condition in more general way later, and also the modified load vector, if you see, that is K 2 1 is multiplied with U1, again the first index which row I am considering, second index which degree of freedom is prescribed, similarly K 3 1. This is the F bar at 2 and 3. Now, so our new load vector is from 2 to 5, that is the last 4 entry, and we get the solution with this inverse is inbuilt MATLAB function which do the inversion of stiffness matrix. So, inversion of K reduced multiplied with F reduced. So, if you see, this is our final, these are U2, U3, U4 and U5, these 4 we get from our inversion. Thus, in this MATLAB program we have learned how to get element stiffness matrix for element 1 and element 2 separately. Also, the first part of load vector which has to be calculated integrating over elements. In both cases we have used Gaussian quadrature rule, and we have used two function stiff and load vec, which we have used for both the elements at every Gauss points. Then we have learned in this part how to program the assembly. Here this addition is important. Then we have programmed the imposition of boundary condition for prescribed non-zero boundary condition, and finally we solve the reduced equation after imposing boundary condition here in this step. Now we will see how to make post processing. We saw how to get the value of dependent variable at any point x other than the node. Today we will see how to use MATLAB to get the variation of dependent variable along the entire domain. First we will see with linear element. So, these 3 are the nodal values. Now, we know for linear element at any intermediate point we get the value of u with this expression. X coordinate in the element is also related with nodal coordinate by this relation. N1 is and this is our N2. We can express xi at any point in terms of a given x value. So, for a given x, we can get corresponding xi using this expression, where xc1 and xe2 are nodal coordinate. Now, we will see the MATLAB code. Here you can see the nodal value of x are 0 to 4, that is 3 nodes, and corresponding u values. Now, this linspace create equally spaced point between x node 1 and x node 2. For example, if we give linspace 1 to 4 with 4, that is the start point is 1, end point is 4, and we want equispace 4 points, then these are the output. So, we create a vector of 21 point increasing from left node to right node with equal space. Then corresponding xi can be obtained from this relation. This relation can be further written 2xc So, you can see this is our x point, x vec 1, and these are our the nodal values. First and second nodal values are the terminal node for element 1. So, thus we get the xi values for corresponding x values. Then we calculate n1 and n2 at those xi values. After that, using this relation, we get the value of dependent variable at those points. So, n1 u node 1 plus n2 u node 2. So, again these are u node 1 is 3 and u node 2 is this value. So, u vec 1 is nothing but the distribution of dependent variable in the element 1. In the same way, we get the distribution of dependent variable in element 2, where the only thing is we have to consider x node 2, that is our left node, and x node 3 is our right node for element 2. Now this u vec 1 and u vec 2 are distribution in element 1 and element 2. We combine this in u vec L, that is the distribution of u using linear element. X vec L is corresponding x points. So these two, u vec L and x vec L, are for entire domain. Now for quadratic element, we have the quadratic relation between x and xi. As the relation is quadratic, it is difficult to find xi for a given x. So here we do the post processing in a little different way. We take the xi point between -1 to 1 with increment 0.25. Now these are the nodal coordinate, these are the nodal solution for dependent variable u. So in MATLAB program, these are I am writing as u node. Now for these xi values, we calculate directly n1, n2 and n3. So we have total 9 point. So in one element, so we calculate n1 in all those 9 points. So n1, n2, n3, these are calculated at 9 point. Now we know u at any xi is n1 ue1, n2 ue2, n3 ue3. In matrix vector notation, now instead of one xi point, we have 9 xi point. So now this is 9 cross 3 and this is 3 cross 1. If you multiply, you get ue, which is of size 9 cross 1, that is the value of u in all those 9 points. The first 3 u are the nodal values for element 1. So we get u vec 1, that is distribution of u at those 9 points using this relation n1 u1 e, n2 ue2 and n3 ue3. So this n1 is a 9 cross 1 vector. So we get the x point in the same way for those 9 xi values. So, this is for this 2 for element 1. For element 2 only the nodal value change. These are for third node, fourth node and fifth node. These are now the 3 nodes for the second element, and we get x vec 2 and u vec 2, which are the distribution of x and u across the second element. Finally, we combine these two to get u vec q and x vec q, that is distribution in the entire domain. Also, we have the analytical solution for this ordinary differential equation. We have the Galerkin solution. Now, at the end we plot all this. So, this u is analytical, this ug is the Galerkin. Now, this x vec L and u vec L, we got the values of x and dependent variable u for linear element, and this x vec q and u vec q are for quadratic element. We plot all 4 graphs on the same plot. Finally, if you run, so in this plot the red line is for analytical, the blue dash that is for Galerkin solution, which is semi analytical method. Now, this magenta line is corresponding to linear FEM, and this black circles are corresponding to quadratic FEM. So, you can see the quadratic FEM is matching in a better sense with analytical solution. So, this is all about how to get the variation of u in the entire domain from the nodal values of the dependent variable.